Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 23rd. It is 6:20 right now. Market's going to open in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. Last thing. And it looks like we are good to go here. So let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Sorry, clean that up a little bit. Let's go over here to the Zoom links. So Zoom link sent out. Go over here and send out the Zoom link as well. So we are good to go. All right, as people join in, I'm going to go ahead and start marking liquidity up over here. Down to the 2 hour. Go down to the 1 hour. Go down to the 30-minute. Down to the 10. Down to the 1 minute. So I'm just going to mark up all of the untested high lows. Typically, I only mark up the higher highs and lower lows on the 1 minute, but I'm going to mark up the untested high lows since I'll be looking for possible high low scalps here that come around as well. So I'm just going to mark up all the levels that are untested for the most part versus just, the higher highs and the lower lows. So there we go. All right, guys. Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 23rd. It is 6:25 right now. Market's going to open in about 5 minutes. I'll know the direction for the breakout shortly. So I've just marked up the direction, all of the liquidity zones here. Closest level of liquidity above is probably going to get hit, which is at 43,182. The next level above that is at 43,213. So this level here is probably going to get hit pre-market. It's very close to it. It's touching it already. And the next level below is at 43,133. Like I said, I typically mark up just the higher highs and lower lows on the 1 minute time frame, but but I'm marking up basically all of the untested high lows just so that we can see if any high low scalps come into the into play today. One thing that I have to change about my accounts that I'm trading with, guys. So for the breakout, I'm only taking it on the hedge account and my personal account. I'm moving over my Tradeify and Perdia accounts to my scalps for the day. Reason for that is because I believe Tradeify requires that you trade at least once a week to keep the account alive. I'm not sure if it's Tradeify or Apex, but it's a requirement for a lot of prop firms where you have to trade at least once a week to keep the account alive. The problem with last week is that I didn't trade on certain accounts for like more than a week, and I got my accounts flagged. So I got to trade scalps on those accounts, and for the other ones, I will be trading the breakout. So with that said, I know my typical trading window is between 640 and 7, but because the market hasn't been super consistent, I'm going to trade outside of this window. I'm going to look for main trades within this window right here, but for the most part, I'm going to trade outside the window. If I see something good before, or if I see something good after, I will trade, but I will be actively monitoring the market to see, whether market volatility is just kind of low and it's not a good time to trade, or if it's volatile and I should still take trades even though it's outside my trading window. One other thing that I'm going to implement with the scalps now is I'm still trading with so the way that I'm trading now is I have my entry set up like this with when I take these scalps. It's not a big difference. The only difference here is that I'm using a trailing stop now. So typically I would enter with a 30-30. Now I'm going to be entering with a 30-60. So a 60-point TP, 30-point stop loss. And my trailing stop is going to move at the 10 mark. So when price moves up 10 points, then my stop loss is going to get moved in profit. When my price gets up to 30 points, it's going to move up in profit, but I'm going to aim to reach the full 60. So that's the difference with the entry here. Let me see if I could log into my Apex account here so that we can see my actual entries on the screen. Try to log in real quick. I know it kept kicking me off yesterday. Or not yesterday, on Friday. So I logged into my Apex account here. So you guys can see when I get into positions. So, all right, guys, direction for the breakout today is looking like see, I'm only going to take the breakout today if it's a buy. If it's a sell today, ideally, I think price can be bullish today. So we'll see where this goes. But let's see. All right, breakout for today is going to be a buy, it looks like. So it does meet my criteria. I'm also going to be using a trailing stop for the breakout today as well, guys. I typically don't use a trailing stop, but I'm going to have the trailing stop at the 50 point just because of the current market conditions. Because it's the day before Christmas Eve, and I think market volatility here might be a little low. So breakout for today is going to be a buy, guys, if you guys are looking to take it. I will be taking it on my personal account and on my hedge accounts. Market's going to open in about 30 seconds. Thanks for clarifying that, Lila. Yeah. All right, guys, market's going to open in about 15 seconds. Direction for the breakout today is going to be a buy. If you guys are looking to take it, doing the typical 100 TP, 50-point stop loss, I will be using a trailing stop at the 50 mark. So market's opening in 3, 2, 1. Market is open. Huge spike right here on open. Make sure my TP is set proper. Okay, small adjustment there.
Order submitted.
About 30 points in profit right now. $40 points. My trailing stop got moved up, guys, so my stop loss is in profit for the breakout for today. So I'm still following right here. My stop loss is in profit. So I got stopped out in profit for the breakout today, guys. It's partial profit right there, 50 points.
Stop filled.
Yeah. So I got out right there for partial on the breakout, guys. I typically don't use a trailing stop for the breakout, but because today is the day before Christmas Eve, I think the volatility here might be a little choppy for the most part. Um, yeah. So it wasn't the profit that I was expecting, but it's all good. So for the breakout today, I got out at 50 points right there. Like I said, I wasn't expecting there to be much direction in market volatility today because it is the day before Christmas Eve. Markets tend to get a little flat during this week. So it is a little bit of a risk trading during Christmas. But yeah, I did get out right here for basically 50 points. If you guys are still holding on to it, we're still going to follow it, but I'm out of this position now so far. So if you guys want to keep holding on to it, feel free. The full TP marker is still going to be at the 100 mark. So we can follow it here. But like I said, the volatility here is not really moving too smooth. Let's go over here to the clean chart. I'm going to mark up some zones here so that you guys can kind of see where market is currently ranging to and ranging from. Ideally, I'd want this to hit full TP, of course. But I'm being safe because just from tradition, just from like, historical movements, Christmas week is usually the slowest week out of all of the holiday weeks. So there we go with that right there. Trade's still running, but we'll follow through with it in a few. So there goes opening price. All right. So not too much going on here. Let's see what I can look for next. I'm gonna be looking for some scalps here. So I'm done with my and I'll take a screenshot of this here too. Only slight profits on the hedge accounts and personal account here, but it's all good. So I'm just gonna mark this up over here real quick so that, or I'll actually just post it into the Zoom or Discord. See, the thing that I was mainly worried about was the fact that the volatility here is very, very low compared to like a typical Monday. So now that I got that posted, I'm going to turn off my hedge laptop. No longer trading on here. All done with that for the day. So here are the profits from the breakout. The breakout that I took today, I had a trailing stop here at the 50-point mark. And here are the profits across the accounts. Not a crazy amount. That's a decent amount. 805 on this one, 310. So like well over a couple $1,000 right here across just my personal and my and the hedge accounts. So slight profit there at the 50-point mark. I think there was a lot of slippage actually because of the market movement when it pushed up. But the trade is still technically running. So I'll be looking for some scalps here. Show the liquidity. Yeah, I'll be looking for some scalps here. One of the main scalps, so I'll kind of have a priority with the scalps that I'm looking for. I'm looking for some V1 variations off the liquidity zones. So that's going to be probably like the main one that I'd be looking for that I feel confident with because my TP stop loss for these scalps here are going to be pretty big. They're going to be set up like this. But like I said, I'm gonna have a trailing stop. So I will enter like this, but when price does move up 10 points, so for example, price moves up 10 points right here, my stop loss will get moved to the 10-point mark. And then when price gets to 30 points, my stop loss will get moved up to the 30 point. And then I'll reach for it. At that point, I'm at 1-to-1. And I'll be aiming for 60 points. So that's kind of what it's going to look like when I'm taking these entries here. There is no entries here at the moment, though. So we'll keep looking. And if you guys are just joining in, I mentioned earlier that the only reason I switched out, because I used to have my Tradeify accounts over here on my breakout entries, but because like last week I didn't have a trade for like a whole week, I got flagged on Tradeify. You have to trade at least once a week. If you don't trade once a week, then they flag your account and they have the opportunity to close your account out. So in order to keep my account alive, I have to trade once a week. So I have to move over my Tradeify accounts to my scalping laptop and my Perdia accounts. Basically, all my prop firm accounts are going to be traded for scalps, and all of the breakouts are only going to be traded on the hedge accounts and my personal account. There's just so many rules with these prop firms now, guys. I mean, it's not horrible, but it is kind of annoying because before you can kind of just take your time trading with the prop firms. They want you to trade pretty much every week. The reason why they want that is because they want you to blow your account, right? If you take more trades, the odds of you blowing your account are very likely. So, yeah, unfortunately, I got to trade the scalps on here. It's not going to be that big of a deal because, I mean, I'm going to be looking for high quality scalps, but it is kind of annoying because you're kind of forced to take a trade every week. So no entries here right now. I'm looking for some scalps. My window for scalping is typically between 640 and 7, but like I said earlier, guys, because of the market conditions, we don't really know when the volatility is going to come and go. So I will be looking for possible entries around the areas, but if my entry does come before or after the 640 mark or 670 or 7 o'clock mark, I'll still be looking for entries there. I'm just going to be actively monitoring the market. So if the volatility gets low, then I'm just not going to look for any trades. But if the volatility stays high, even though it's after 7 o'clock, then I will continue looking. The only difference here is I think 7:30 will probably be my cutoff for actual entries. So my window right here between 640 and 7, I'm going to look for entries outside of it. I don't need to look for entries only within this area. It's just the market lately has been kind of like harder to follow because of the you guys can see how the market's moving here. It's just going back and forth. Like sometimes price will go sideways, then it'll push, it'll go sideways again, then it'll push, then it'll go sideways again, and it'll push, etc. It's just hard to have a window like we had before. Basically, my window before is 640 and 7, and I could find some good movement during this time. However, lately it's not been like that. Sometimes we'll get movement before, sometimes it'll go flat right here, then some movement, then flat, then some movement, then flat. So I got to keep my my trading opportunities open, but I'm not going to be forcing any trades. So I'm still going to be looking for very high quality entries. It's just I'm not going to limit myself between 640 and 7. And one of the main entries that I'll be looking for, like I said, is going to be the V1 variation off liquidity. Ideally, I'd like to go in the direction of the trend, but if it goes against the trend, depending on how the setup looks like, I may still take it. So I'll let you guys know. Yeah, Sam said news today, new home sales, not red folder though. I think it was orange, right? I think new home sales was on Friday, Sam. We had building permits today. So at building permits, we had Chicago Fed national activity, pre-market. We have durable goods at 7:30 though. This is high impact. So I will put that on the chart so we're aware of that. And we're not really getting too much of a direction here. So it was a good idea that I moved my stop loss and profit, guys. So looking at this over here, You can see that it was a good thing that I moved my stop loss and profit. Looks like either way, so either direction price pushed in, it would have lost if you took the breakout. But the good thing about today is that I moved my stop loss and profit at the 50 mark, so we actually got out at 50 points. So I will post this over here. So basically just a half profit. So here's where the profits are from. It's from the breakout V2 entry. Or sorry, not the breakout V2, the breakout entry. Partial TP for 50 points. I'll put some notes here. Market direction today. Yeah, so it pretty much did what I expected. So here's the momentum breakout that we took for the day. I had my stop loss get moved in profit at 50 points. The full move for 100 points would have lost in either direction. Looking at this here, let me just go back real quick. So I pretty much assumed this was going to happen today. So it didn't really matter which direction you take. Well, no. So if you took it for 50 points, the buy would have hit. Of course, that's why we took it for the buy. But if you would have taken it for the full 100 points here, it would have lost either way. It didn't matter which direction you would have taken it in. So if you took it for a buy here, it would have pushed up in profit like we did, and then it would have came right back down. And then vice versa, if you took it for a sell here, it would have hit your stop loss first before it came back down. But you can see that price here just going back and forth, right? So I think I think moving forward, I'm probably going to have to do this for a little while, just have my trailing stop at the 50 mark, just to, just in case, something like this happens again in the future, until Trump gets into house. I think once Trump gets into house or once we hit the new year, market will start to move more directional. But as of now, we got to be a little careful with our entries here because it doesn't matter which direction you take, price is not really going one directional. So I'm just being smarter about my entries here. Like I said, you just have to adapt with the market. The market's not always going to do what you're looking for, or what you want. You really just have to adapt with the market. So we got nothing here right now. I'm looking for some possible entries. See if there's anything else that would have came out. Yeah, I just don't see anything here right now. Looks like a possible breakout V2 might have came up right here. See buy signal. No, it looks like the breakout V2 here would have lost actually. It looks like there was a buy signal. The opening candle was green, following candle was green. Would have been a buy. Wouldn't have worked out. So I'm going to add that into the stats here just so that it's a 23rd. So still no direction here. of price. There's a possible breakout V3 coming up right here. I mean, it's not looking like it's going to close red though. I'm going to sit out on this one. If you guys want to take it, this is a possible breakout V3 right here. It's a red sell signal, red candle. It's going into the liquidity zone right there. I just didn't like how this candle was like going back and forth, back and forth. So you can see here it's pushing in profit. If you took it for 10 points, 10 points would have been filled already. 30 points would have been filled already. It's actually a really good entry. Yeah, full TP right there for about 60 points if anybody decided to take that trade. I just didn't feel comfortable with it because this candle right here, the last second was kind of just going back and forth. So it looks like you would have gone stopped out in profit here at the 30-point mark. If you use a trailing stop that I was talking about earlier. Like I said, guys, I'm only taking entries that I feel really confident about. I didn't feel super confident about this. I'm not going to FOMO into any entries here. I'm only going to take entries that I feel confident about. So if you guys took the entry right there, it looks like that breakout V3 just played through. Again, if you guys are not familiar with the breakout V3, there was a sell signal right here. It was followed by a red candle. It's a continuation pattern. Price pushed down. TP stop loss would have been at 30.60, but my trailing stop would have moved up at 30 points. So I'm using two trailing stops right now. My trailing stop moves up at the 10 mark. So once price hits 10 points, stop loss gets moved up. Once price gets moved up to 30 points, stop loss gets moved up again. And my full TP would be at the 60 mark. So I'd be aiming to hit 60, but if price does pull back right here, I get taken out of 1-to-1. So I'm basically protecting my position as price moves along. So I'll put the BB3C right there. You guys are wondering what entry that is. I don't know if I could put, let me see if I could put a label here or text. I can't put any text there, but you guys can see what it is. It's a breakout V3 continuation. A BB3C or a BB3. This falls for the BB3 as the actual breakout. It also falls under the BB3C because this is the first breakout V3 continuation that came up. Market open right here at 6:30. There's a sell signal, no red candle. There's a buy signal, no green candle. There's a red signal, red candle. So this here is actually considered a breakout V3, an actual breakout V3. So if you wanted to take this as an actual breakout V3, this here is currently still running for 100 points there. This is why I was looking to maybe take it, but because the red candle over here wasn't very strong, I didn't really look to, like I wasn't convinced that it was going to move the way that I wanted to. So if you wanted to take this here as an actual breakout, it's moving right there for 100 points. There's three different breakouts that come up right here on open. There's the momentum breakout, which is what I took earlier this morning for the 50 points. There's a breakout V2, and there's also a breakout V3 right here. There are three different breakout entries that come up at different times. Like I said, if you wanted to take it as a continuation, which is what I would have taken, the 60 points looks like it would have gone hit right there. But if you're taking it for the full breakout, it's still currently running right now. Pushing down pretty heavy too. Yeah, Barack said definitely a combination of the two. Lately, the direction is coming in late into the session. Yeah, and I agree with you too. Definitely agree with you there too. So there we go with price coming down further. There's actually a lot of entries here that came through. So there's a breakout V3. Let's see. So at this point right here, there's a breakout V3 that came up, breakout V3 continuation. It pretty much happened on the same candle. Here's for the full 100 points. There was also a high-low scalp that came through right here. One thing that I noticed yesterday when I was looking through the charts is typically when a high-low scalp is followed by a second one, the second one usually hits. So like, for example, this one over here, this one came through and then it traced up a little bit. But once it hit the next one down here, it pushed down even further. That's why I started marking up all the high lows instead of just the higher highs and the lower lows, because it's something that I noticed when I was looking at the charts the other day. The only other possible entry that I'll be looking for here, guys, is I'll be looking for a possible, well, I wouldn't say it's the only entry, but one of the main other opportunities that I'll be looking for, and I'll clean this up because the high lows are pretty much done with. I'll be looking for a possible V1 variation off structure. So the structure right here, there's liquidity. Well, what I do need is I need a buy signal to come up. So I would need some sort of buy signal to come up here so that I can get the V1 variation in the opposite or in the direction of the trend. So I need a buy signal to come up, retrace up, and then come back down with a V1 variation pattern. That's going to confirm a continuation to the downside. It'll either probably happen here, hopefully. If not, if it doesn't happen down here, it may happen up here as well. So buy signal probably come up, push up to this point, and then come down from here. It doesn't really matter which zone it comes from. It just needs to be an actual V1 variation. There's a V1 pattern right here, but it's against the trend. Typically, I don't like trading against the trend, and it's not rejecting off any structure. So it's already below the structure here. I mean, this is a V1 variation reversal pattern, though. Looks like a break and retest off the structure. Continuation down. Ideally, I'd like to get a V1 variation at some point. All right, so I will continue to look here for possible opportunities for entry. So there's two entries that came up today, guys. The entry that I took here was the breakout, momentum breakout for a buy. Got out at 50 points, so I got it right there. And I was looking to take this breakout V3 over here, but like I said, this candle over here right before the entry was like going back and forth. Like it came up to like a flat candle, then it came back down. I didn't really feel comfortable about taking that specific entry right there, but I'll be looking for the next one. 653 right now. Volatility is pretty decent. ATR is currently at 30 ATR, 32 ATR actually. So the market is moving and it's starting to move a little bit more directional here. Going over here to our clean chart, let me go over here and mark up some more structure. Here's the SR chart. Let me see if there's any structure down here. So 1 hour. Not quite. Onto the 30-minute. Onto the 1 minute. Okay, so looking at this right here, price is currently ranging between these two zones from the SR chart. You can see where price is kind of going back and forth right now. This is the 1 hour resistance, and this is the 4 hour support. So there goes the SR charts. Here's a clean chart. So price is currently between the 43,050 and the 43,000 mark. That's currently where price is now currently consolidating. Like I said before, guys, I typically don't like to look for trades when price is consolidating like this. So I'm not really going to be looking for entries at this point. There's no V1 variation here yet. There's a rejection off the structure here, but there's no V1 variation. I need to get a buy signal. So what I need here is I need price to actually push up a little higher. So maybe push up to this point up here and then come back down. So the good thing with this here is if that happens, we'll get some sort of a head and shoulders pattern here. See how the head and shoulders line up? So what I need is I need a buy signal for price to push up, come up to here, give me a V1 variation from up here, and then come right back down. The reason why I want this to push up higher is because price is consolidating within this little area right here, right? So I don't like the consolidation right here. I want price to push out of this area, fake out, and come back down. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for price to push up a little bit, push up higher. You guys see the pattern right there? It's a head and shoulders pattern. It's a perfect fake out pattern. So we got consolidation right here. Price pushes up, fakes out up here. We get a V1 from right there and it comes right back down. Ideally, that's what I would want to look for. I mean, obviously things don't happen like that. There's like, this would be like the perfect scenario, perfect situation. This is probably not going to happen, but ideally, if this does happen, I'll be looking to take that for a nice return to the downside. Right. So it's always good to have scenarios in your head, right? Because that's typically like where you can get a head start on your analysis in the chart. Because right here you can see prices pushing up. So like what I marked up here could happen. It's a possibility. I'm not going to say it's impossible. Very unlikely that it's going to be as clean as what I have marked up here. But that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point. I want price to push out of this area because we don't want to trade in this consolidation, right? We want price to consolidate and we want it to break out and then we want it to move directional. Like this might be the case here. There might not be a shoulder here, but there might still be a fake out up here. My key area for entry is going to be somewhere around here, the 100 mark. So I do want price to push up from where it's currently at. Okay, so we do have the buy signal here. The entry might come a little earlier, actually. So it might happen like right here, guys. Just a heads up, because we do have the buy signal here already. I mean, the entry might even happen from right here. There's a V1 variation that's setting up right here. So I'll be looking to take this V1 variation if it closes red, guys. And I was closing at 4, 3, 2, 1, entry right there. Entry wasn't exactly where, I mean, it's okay. I got in kind of where it should have been, sort of. So
Order
let's
submitted.
see. This might have my stop. It's a little tight. It's a little tight. We'll see. This is the setup that I was looking for. Ideally, I would have wanted it to push up higher, but I mean, this is still a setup here for a V1. We have a double body rejection right here. Buy signal right there. It's a V1 pattern. I have to mark up a couple areas here, like a 10-point mark, because my stop loss sometimes doesn't get moved up. So I will be following it here. I hate when I take the entry and the volatility just gets flat. Volatility is pretty flat right now. So my stop needs to get moved up, or my TP gets moved up a little bit. All right, so the volatility here is still flat. So like I said, I didn't really want to trade within this middle area right here, but I'm already in it. So I mean, it is what it is. Ideally, I would have wanted to push up. The fake out did happen right here, though. It was a smaller than usual fake out right there. So price is moving up. Let me see if I get those 10 points. But yeah, the fake out did still happen right here. Not a big fake out, but fake out nonetheless. So I'm following it. My stop loss has moved in profit. I'll keep dropping. Oh, okay. That's all good.
Order filled.
Man, I got like some slippage on one of my accounts. I got slippage on a lot of my accounts actually. I don't know why the slippage was so bad. I was supposed to lock in. How many points did I take on this? Yeah, I don't know what happened. The slippage was really bad on that trade. Well, I mean, I'm glad because at least I got out for profit. So you guys heard the cha-ching noise? I got it at 10 points right there before it actually spiked up. So I'm actually glad I got, okay, I can see where the slippage happened because this thing spiked up super quickly, then it came right back down. Anyways, let me just mark this up for you guys. And this is probably going to come back down further. You guys can see that was just a crazy candle right there. This candle came down and then it spiked up, and then here it goes as it goes down to our actual TP. So I'm glad I got out of that for a partial, or else this thing would have spiked to my stop loss. All right, it is what it is. I'll take the 10 points and I'll probably look for another entry here if possible. So here's the V1 variation. I'll post up my profits real quick. There's like one account that gave me like a negative 50. I don't know what happened. It was just that account got spiked out. So there's a V1 right here. Whenever you guys hear the cha-ching noise when I'm like taking the trade, it's because my stop loss is getting moved in profit. Possible breakout V3 continuation setting up again right here. So there's a sell signal, a possible red candle that's going to follow it. That would be a V1 variation. But yeah, let me just post my profits real quick. I don't understand why that happened, but it's all good. I'm still net positive, so I mean can't really complain about being net positive, of course. Okay. I got a lot of accounts here now because I'm trading a whole bunch on I'll put partial TP. The All right, so oh man, it looks like this thing would have went straight to TP too. That would have been a nice 2-to-1 right there, but would have stopped us out because of this big spike candle right here. I mean, it's all good. My analysis played out how I wanted it to. So it did exactly what I was expecting. We had the V1 variation there and it came down. It was just this big candle right here spiked up. So, I mean, it's all good. Just got out for profit there. And the candles here are starting to move kind of crazy. So there's no V1. There's not going to be a breakout V3 here. You can see we have a red candle, but the huge green candle right here. Looks like a lot of fake outs are starting to set up around this specific area down here. Let me mark this up. Price came down to the 950 and then it just shot all the way back up. But you guys can see the fake out over here that I was looking for. So price was consolidating within this area. I basically got in for the fake, or the price faked out right there. Faked out again right here, and then it came back down. Such a messy market today. But anyways, here are my profits. So I took this trade here for the V1 variation. The V1 pattern right there, pending sell signal, price came down. Like I said, my trailing stop got moved in profit. So here are my accounts. Nothing too crazy here. I got hit with a ton of slippage. Like a ton of slippage. I don't even know, like, I mean, 'cause I was supposed to lock in at least 500 on this trade, but it only locked it. I got out at 100 actually. So, I mean, the slippage here was pretty bad on that one. Yeah, because I got out at 10 points. So my full TP would have given me 1,500. The 60 points would have given me 3,000. And for some reason, my 10 points over here only gave me $100. I mean, it's all good though. So it is what it is. You know what I noticed here is Tradeify actually charges a lot in fees. I didn't realize they charge so much in fees. They basically took like $60 in fees right here. These accounts down here are my Tradeify accounts. I usually don't scalp with Tradeify. The fees are horrible with Tradeify. This over here is my Perdia, so I expected that. But yeah, Apex over here, they only charged me about like, it looks like 30 bucks, 20 to 30 bucks in fees and commissions. Tradeify charged me a little more. It's all good. Whenever I get the full moves though, it's gonna recoup that. So let's take it as is. Move on to the next trade here. So we'll see if we could find another entry here. Looks like we're now going into this lower consolidation zone down here. Again, I'd probably look for the same thing that I was looking for earlier. So if you guys want to take a market flow V2, there's a possible market flow V2 that may come up right here at the, looks like it already filled actually. Right there at the 43,000 mark. Might have been a little too late. Or technically it would have filled right here actually. So if you're looking to take a market flow V2, guys, market flow V2 actually filled up right here. It happened very quickly, so I don't know if anybody even was able to identify it. There was a sell signal that came right here. This retraced up. The whole number was right here at the 43,020. That's where the market flow V2 would have came up. And it's currently running right now in profit. Like this happened literally on the following candle. So I don't think anybody here caught it unless you were like only looking for market flow V2s. If you want to go for a 30-30, it looks like that one already would have hit. Like I said, guys, I'm kind of changing up my TP stop losses a little bit. I'm mainly using the trailing stops now because I do like the function. It does help a lot and allows me to collect more profits. So I'm using the trailing stop function instead of just using a fixed TP stop loss for my entries. I mean, the fixed TP stop loss is fine. It's just, yeah, it's just I'd rather have the ability to catch more, of course. So yeah, I'll just mark this up right here as a market flow V2 if anybody's looking to, and I'll use abbreviations, guys, market flow V2. I'll use the abbreviations here so that it doesn't clutter up the chart too much. So basically for the scalps right here, we identified like 3 different entries. There's a breakout V3 continuation, V1 variation, which is what I took earlier, this trade right here. And then there's a market flow V2 that came up right here, came up very quickly. So it came up right there. And it looks like it would have hit for the 1-to-1. The 1-to-2 is still running, but the 1-to-1 did hit already. So what I want to see here again is I want to see some consolidation. I would like to see some consolidation here, and I would like to see my pattern kind of play through again, right? I want to see price fake out to the upside, give me a V1 variation patterns from up there somewhere, and then let me ride this back down further. Otherwise, I don't care if price flips the other way. Price can easily flip the other way if it wants to, and then it can give me the same pattern, but in the opposite direction, right? So if the trend shifts, that's completely fine. If price pushes up here, then okay, give me a V1 variation to the upside, right? I'm looking for those V1 variations off the structure. I've been kind of testing them. They work out pretty well. It's the same thing Sam has been looking at as well. So Sam over here actually caught it for 80 points, looks like. Where was your stop loss on this move right here, Sam? I'm just kind of curious to see, like, where did you set it at? Because I mean, I would have gotten triggered out right here at the 30 points, unless you had yours a lot higher. It looks like it just went for a stop loss hunt. So you can see over here, like it came down. And then if I take off the liquidity here, it pretty much went on a stop loss hunt to this lower high. So whoever entered trades here, they typically place their stop loss right here at the lower high, right? And that's exactly what happened. Price came right here, it hunted the stops, and then it came right back down further. So I'm wondering where you put your stop loss at. I mean, if you put it like super far out, if we did a 60-60, I mean, that would have survived it, but it's kind of a big TP stop loss to have. I mean, it's not a bad TP stop loss, but it is kind of big. Otherwise, I mean, a 50-50 could be good too. If anything, that could possibly be the adjustment, but in a 50-50 and you're going for a 50 to 100, that's like no longer a scalp. That kind of turns into more of a day trade because 100 points is a lot to aim for. I'll probably make some adjustments to the TP stop loss once Trump gets into house. I mean, obviously the volatility is going to be a bit higher, so I might not use a 30-60 anymore. I might use like maybe a 60 or a 50-100 like I just talked about. But we'll see. I mean, we gotta play by ear, guys. There's no need to make adjustments right away. Like it took me a while to make adjustments to our TP stop loss now. Only reason I started using the trailing stop is because of the choppy market we've been in. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm just also being very careful because it is Christmas week, so I'm not sure when the volatility would just get flattened out. Looks like the Santa Claus rally that a lot of people were hoping for at the end of the year is not happening. I mean, it can still happen at the end of this week. So I believe Thursday is going to be a full trading day for the most part, and Friday for sure. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Check some stuff quick. All right, so not really too much here. Nikki said, happy with my profits. Have a great holiday, everyone. Yeah, definitely, Nikki. Have a great holiday. Merry Christmas to you. And we'll see you back here on Thursday, I believe. Tomorrow is going to be a half day trading, guys, so I'm not going to trade tomorrow. Wednesday, of course, is Christmas. There's market closure. And Thursday, I think, is going to be a half day as well, but I will be trading on Thursday. So I'll come back Thursday. Yeah, Thursday is Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, I believe. Let me check the calendar real quick. So Christmas Day, of course, or Christmas Eve. Thursday. Yeah, there's news on Thursday. So market's gonna be open on Thursday. Yeah. So tomorrow's gonna be a half day, the 24th, Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day market's completely closed. And then Thursday market's back open. So all right, we got the market here consolidating a little bit. That's a good sign. We want market to consolidate because we want to be looking for the next opportunity for entry when price fakes out. Basically, what we're looking for here is we're looking for price to consolidate within an area, look for the fake out, and then look for the directional push. That's exactly what I took here with the V1, right? So without the indicators right here, this is where the V1 variation happened. Price consolidated around here, gave me a V1 reversal pattern. Price came back down, shot through, went back into consolidation, fake out, come back down here, fake out, pull back in. You can see the fake out. So if you look closely, you can see where the fake outs happen. Price consolidates, fake out right there, right? Price consolidates, fake out right there, fake out right there. Price consolidates, fake out right there, and it's back into consolidation, right? So now that it's back into consolidation, I mean, there's a V1 variation right there. Let me see if that's a V1 pattern. So that is a V1 variation right there. It's not off structure, so it's not one that I would look for, but basically V1 pattern faked out, pulled back into the consolidation range. So I'm gonna try to be more active on the charts, guys. I know like before I've been a lot more kind of just I'm not really like, because I'm not looking for entries, right? Typically when I take the breakout, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna analyze the charts, but I'm not gonna take anything. Now I'm actually looking to take entries like all throughout the session. So I will be active on the chart. I'll be actively looking for structure, looking where price will likely bounce from. Like for example, price is bouncing off the support here. This is a 4-hour support, or I'll put this right here so that you guys can see. 4-hour support zone. So we got the 4-hour support right here, and then we got the 1-hour resistance right here. So I'll be actively looking for entries here because I'm trying to get something here. I'm not going to force any trades, but I will be looking for opportunities here. So here we go. As price comes right back up. So it's breaking out of this consolidation zone. That V1 variation pattern right there played out pretty nice. But it was against the trend, so it's not one that I would look for. It just wasn't off any structure either. If it was off structure, it'd be a little better to take. Here, let me just go back real quick. Was there structure down there at the time? No, there wasn't. Okay. So regardless of the fact, I wouldn't have taken this trade. For one, because it was against the trend. And for two, there's no V1 variation off structure. It's a V1 variation, but it's not off structure. And it's not in the direction of the trend. So what we might get here is another V1 variation. So same pattern I was talking about earlier, push up, come back down, right? Because we have a buy signal here. So now that we have the buy signal, this could be setting up for a possible V1 variation at some point. Ideally up here. The only problem is that when it comes up here, we're getting very close to the upper end of the pivots. So this could actually be a reversal back to the upside, push up higher. There's just a lot of different scenarios here that can play out. You know, the thing that I'm most confused about is the sessions. The sessions are way up here for some reason. Well, of course, market was like super high on Friday, but there's no sessions down here. There's a lot of open playing field down at this lower area because there's just no sessions. There's no red flags down here, which I think is kind of surprising. It's all good. I'm not going to complain about it, but I'm surprised there's no sessions down here right now. Okay, so we got price pushing up right here. As price pushes up, it may get up to this 1-hour resistance zone, or it may bounce off, come back down. Looking at our clean chart over here, same thing with this up here. You know, there might be, so price, this is where price was earlier, where we took the V1 variation. Price might come up and come back down. It looks like there's a range here. So if you look at the range, so this looks like the range at this point. Price pushes up, comes back down. There's a big range within this middle area right here. That's kind of where I'm going to look for. There's a V1 variation. It's not rejecting off structure. So again, I'm not looking to take this here, but it is a V1 variation pattern. It's actually a V1 variation entry. So there's a double body rejection right there, pending sell signal. It's in the direction of the trend, so it actually looks good. There goes a 1-to-1 right there. This doesn't meet my criteria though. You know, like I said, I'm looking for these A+ entries. I'm looking for entries that I know for sure are going to hit, or I have a really good feeling it's for sure going to hit. This right here is a setup, but it's not one of those entries where I'm like, oh, this is for sure going to hit because there's no structure here. It's not rejecting off the pivot. It's not rejecting off liquidity. It's not rejecting off the high lows. It's kind of just an out in the open V1 variation pattern, which there's nothing wrong with out in the open V1 variation patterns. Like there was one right here, right? Out in the open V1 variation pattern. This thing pushed up pretty heavily. Pushed up from here. 60 points, 80 points, 90 points. Nice push to the upside. I'm just going to clean this up, not in the position. I mean, this thing would have hit 30 points already, looks like. Or not. Either way, I'm not in the position. I think this thing would have closed a little too small anyways. Like, I wouldn't be able to identify this as an actual entry when it's closing because this candle is so small. I mean, nonetheless, it is a V1 variation pattern. Looks like the consolidation is starting to happen around this middle area now. So let me clean this up on the clean chart. So looking at the market structure here, you can kind of see what happened. There was a consolidation, fake out, pulled back down, consolidation, fake out right here, and then it's coming right back up. So you can see here that this is the original consolidation zone. And this is pretty much where price came back to. So everything that happened outside this area was basically a fake out. Price faked out right here, It pushed down to lure in some sellers. Faked out right there. And then it pulled back into the consolidation zone from earlier. This is the same consolidation zone we took the V1 variation from, this one up here. So we took the entry up here. I mean, this thing would have been a crazy entry if I would have held this. I mean, it wouldn't matter because I would have gone stopped out right here on the spike candle. But if this thing didn't spike up like this, that V1 variation would have pushed down about 100 points. 110 points, actually. It's a really big push to the downside. All right, we got news over here at 7:30. High impact news. We got durable good orders month over month and durable good orders transportation. Both forecasted to be negative, it looks like. Coming up in about 8 minutes. Otherwise, nothing else going on here. It's like the markets here have decided to die out a little bit. Not too much going on here, guys. Price is just going sideways. So it's not a bad thing that price is going sideways. It's just that there's no entries here right now. You can see our price is bouncing off the support zone. Looks like there's a V1 variation pattern right there too. So sort of considered, it's too big. It's like this candle's way too huge. I mean, it is basically a double bottom right here. It's a wick and a body. But because this one doesn't have a wick, it's basically a double wick rejection. I wouldn't take it. Candle's too big. Man, that's a weird market today. Well, not exactly. So it's not a weird market today. It's more of a weird market right now. So we had the directional push right here. The move already happened between 6:30 and price came up, came down, dropped super heavily. And then once we got to like 640 right here, 649, this is where the market started going sideways. So what I'll do right here is I'll kind of mark up where the weird stuff, or not weird stuff, or the market started to shift a little bit. So let's see, we had the directional push right here. So this is why when I talk to you guys about like, because I know a lot of you guys like looking at the AMD model where it's accumulation, manipulation, distribution. This was like opposite. So the way that this happened here was, okay, so the green line over here signifies the breakout happening. This is what happened on open. So we took the breakout on open right here for 50 points. That's what I caught. So looking at this here, between the green line and the blue line, this is where the breakout happened. And then the direction started happening right here at the blue line. So price pushed up, that's a breakout. Right here at the blue line, this is where the directional push happened, came down, retracement, continued down lower. And then right here from this orange line, this is where the consolidation started happening. So we've been in consolidation for quite some time now. This whole area is considered consolidation, in my opinion. Right? You know, everyone's going to have their own opinion, but for the most part, I pretty much color coordinated it so you guys can see everything. This is where the AMD pattern doesn't really, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but like not to like a full sense, because like, for example, right here, if that was the case, then, you know, after this consolidation, there should be a breakout, right? And it depends on how you want to cut it up too, because if you really want to cut this up into like little pieces, like for example, this could be the consolidation, this could have been the manipulation part, but then there's no direction. So this is where it kind of gets kind of screwy, because consolidation happens right here, price breaks down. This is where the manipulation kind of happens. Right? If you wanted to consider it that way, you can also, if you really wanted to like break it down like candle by candle, this is where it would kind of switch up to. And then I guess if you wanted to consider this direction, I mean, I wouldn't consider direction, but yeah, there's just no direction there. So this is kind of where it becomes a little tricky when you're using accumulation, manipulation, distribution. I understand it and I do agree with it a lot of the times, but there's going to be times like this where it just kind of doesn't make sense because well, and it's not the fact that it doesn't make sense, it's just that there's no, the price action and the market structure doesn't really fall in with that, because we do have the consolidation right here, which would be considered accumulation. This would be, I guess, manipulation to some people. But at this point, the manipulation is running for so long that it's kind of hard to follow. So like I did make a structure for that. So let me see if I could. I think I put it as market structure. Where's it at? Market structure transitions. So it's very similar to like what accumulation, manipulation, distribution looks like. But right here, it's more so like where it just goes from structure to structure. So like over here, we had the breakout, right? So the breakout happened right here at the green line. What happens after the breakout? It's either directional or it goes sideways. Right here, it was directional. So price broke out, went into directional push. Then from a directional push, what happens after directional? It almost always goes to sideways, right? So we had a directional push right here. Price now went sideways. So this is a lot easier to follow versus the AMD, because if you follow AMD pattern, it's a accumulation, which is same thing as sideways manipulation, same thing as breakout, and then distribution, which is same thing as directional. See? So, I mean, if you look at my market structure transitions, I think mine is easier to follow versus something like this. Because if you're just always looking for like, okay, where's the manipulation at? That's where you get confused. Because for example, here, like this could be manipulation, this whole area right here, or this could be all sideways, right? Ideally, I would just call it all sideways because it just makes more sense to just have this whole bunch right here considered sideways. But yeah, these are the market structure transitions that I talk about, and you can see over here that it pretty much it did exactly this. We had the breakout here at 630, then we had the directional push, then we had a sideways move. And then after this sideways move, what happens after sideways? Either a breakout or a directional push, right? So, you know, like I said in the past, guys, it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it accumulation, you can call it consolidation, you can call it sideways, you can call it range. Just call it whatever you think makes sense to you. For me, I think sideways just makes more sense because that's really what's happening right here. Price is in a sideways move. You know, manipulation is so vague. For me, I just think it's a breakout, right? Because that's kind of what happened here. Price broke out to the upside, faked out, came right back down, went into a directional push. So instead of me calling it manipulation, I just call it breakout. Instead of calling it distribution, I call it directional. Because that's kind of what happened here. It's a directional push. So it's just up to preference, whatever you guys want to call it. I'm going to stick to like my own stuff because I think my stuff is just easier to follow. And I feel like there's more things here to like kind of break away from. you're not necessarily looking for a specific pattern each time. You're just trying to see if it confirms one way or the other. I'm always looking for a directional. So, I'm a directional trader. So basically right now it went from breakout to directional. That's why I took my V1 variation somewhere around this area. It's going from sideways. From sideways, it's going to go into breakout or directional. So again, I'm just always looking for price to go back into that directional movement. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen, but if you're patient enough, you can wait for it to happen. It's eventually going to push through. So we got price over here. We had news here at 7:30. Let's check what the news was. I'm believing it was negative because price did come down a little bit right there. Yeah, it was negative. So the high impact news of over here at 7:30, which was durable goods, it was negative. So it was forecasted to be 0.3. It was actually negative 0.1. It was forecasted to be 0.4 here for the month over month of November. It was actually negative 1.1. So a bit of a big difference there with regard to that. Oh, and just a heads up, guys. So today we're supposed to be having day 5, I believe, of the mentoring of the futures day trading mastery class. We're going to reschedule that to next week, guys. I know it's Christmas for a lot of you guys, so a lot of you guys are busy and you're not going to be around and you're traveling and all that. And this next class is going to be very important because I'm going to be covering, the business aspect of trading, like how to start a company, how to write off your stuff and all that, like pretty much how to run your trading as a business. I know a lot of people want to sit in on that because it has a lot of valuable information with regard to like how to get write-offs, how to do deductions, how to save as much on taxes, trading with prop firms, how to write off your subscriptions to things. If you have a subscription to Kodi Kai, if you want to write that off and basically get it for free in a sense at the end of the year, I'll be teaching that. We're going to move that to next week because I know a lot of people, next week's going to be tough too because it's New Year's. So we'll see if we're going to move it to next Monday. If not next Monday, we might just push it out until like the following week. But we're not going to have it today. I know a majority of people have asked if I can just reschedule it. I will reschedule it. I think this is probably going to be the most important one out of all of the sessions because a lot of you guys, once you start making money trading, you want to learn how to keep that money, right? Instead of paying it in taxes. So just a heads up to you guys here. I'll put a notification in the Discord, but for the most part, I just want to give you guys a heads up that will be rescheduled to a later date. So just want to let you guys know before we get too far ahead. Yeah, definitely. Lila said yes, thanks. We really need that class. Next week is great. Thanks. Sounds good. We really appreciate you. Asset protection is important. Yeah. Because the thing is, once you start to make profit trading, especially with these prop firms, you're going to want to write off stuff like your evals, right? So for example, if you buy like a bunch of Apex accounts, right? If you get a bunch of Apex evals or Tradeify straight to funded accounts, and then say, for example, at the end of the year, you've made like maybe 50,000 in profit gross, right? Out of those 50,000 in profit, you're probably gonna have to pay about like 20,000 in taxes. Kind of depends on where you're located, what tax bracket you're in. You're gonna have to pay about like a little less than half of that in taxes. So if I can teach you how to write off those expenses, you're not going to pay anything in taxes at the end of the year. You're just going to keep all the money. So instead of paying 20,000 in taxes at the end of the year, you're just going to keep that because those are all going to be falling under your deductions, and you just keep the whole 50K to yourself. You don't pay taxes. So I'll teach you guys that, in a future class. There's just a lot of different loopholes to it, especially when and it doesn't only apply to trading. So this could apply for any type of other business that you may have on the side. If you have a daycare business or a dog walking business or a car detail business or anything like that, like this type of information, it applies to all types of businesses. So we'll hold that into we'll push it to next week. If it doesn't work next week, then we'll push it to the following week. I just want to make sure that the people who want to attend are going to be able to attend because I think that's going to be the last mentoring session. So after that mentoring session, I'm not really going to be mentoring for a while. I'm going to be going back into studying for the Series 3 exam because my main focus is really on the hedge fund. And yeah, I'll still be trading every day. I just won't be doing mentoring sessions weekly. It might be like a monthly event. So once a month, I'll do a mentoring session, answer all the questions, and then we'll go from there. All right, there's still no entries here right now, guys. We do have a shift in trend. So price did shift to the upside. Now we'll be looking for possible V1 variations from the bottom end. So I'll be looking for price to push up, break and retest, possibly come back up from there. So something like this, price push above, come back for the retest, get the V1 variation somewhere around there, and then push up higher from that point. But there's just not much going on here. Price pretty much kind of flattened out. Like I said before, guys, I'm not going to limit myself to trading between 640 and 7. My cutoff will probably be around 730 though. 730 is usually where the market kind of dies down. If you guys have been trading with me over the past couple of years, 730 has always kind of been the area where I stopped trading. You can see over here on 730, price here is starting to get very flat. Price has been in a range consolidation since about 649. But right here at 730, you can see the market is starting to get very, very slow. ATR is currently at 28 ATR right now, so it's not super heavy at all. And it's kind of like flatlined at this point. It's not holding above 30 anymore. So yeah, looking at this here, here's the SR chart. Price is still kind of sitting between the 4-hour support and the 1-hour resistance. Hasn't really broken above or broken below. Just staying right here down the middle. Let's take a look at the overall chart right now. So the overall chart, the 4 hours currently bearish, 1 hour is currently bearish, 30 minutes bearish, 10 minutes bearish, 5 minutes bearish. 1 minute starting to shift to the upside, but I think it'll probably swing back down. Overall, everything here looks pretty bearish for the most part. So the whole Santa rally that people were looking for, it's not really playing out so much. One thing that someone asked about was like Bitcoin too. Let me check Bitcoin's price. Where's Bitcoin right now? So Bitcoin dropped back down. A lot of people were asking me when it got above 100K if it was going to hold. I didn't think it was going to hold, honestly. A lot of those people are going to sell off, of course. I mean, it's still in a very bullish market. Of course, it's retracing super hard. I'm still holding on to my Bitcoin. I didn't buy any more Bitcoin. I'm just holding on to all the Bitcoin that I've had in the past. So it's pretty much just sitting right there. Yeah. Bitcoin is coming down a bit. It's been bearish since, let's see, 17th. So about a week's time. It's been coming down. I mean, we'll see what happens when Trump comes back. So when Trump comes back into play, like it's, obviously he's probably going to have something up his sleeve to pump it back up. All right, we got price climbing up a little higher right now. Let's see if it provides us some opportunity for entry. So what I need to happen here is price is pushing above. Trying to see if there's anything here that I could maybe take. Okay, let's mark up these high lows right here. There's a high-low scalp that came up right here, actually, on this candle. One right there, one right there. Yeah, I would end up taking this one, of course. Like I said, I'm just waiting for my V1 variation setups. But I just wanted to mark this up here. This is a high-low scalp if anybody is looking to take it. If you want to get in late, you can always put a buy stop right there. So if price pushes up, it could fill your order. Or if you just want to if it pushes down, you can just close it out. So if you want to get into this late, you can just put a buy stop just waiting right here at the 43,086 mark. If it pushes up, it'll fill your order. If price pushes down, then you just cancel your order. You have to be actively watching it though. So I wouldn't just leave it alone. So it pushes down right here, I would just cancel it, and then your order would just never get filled because your order would be sitting there, and I would just cancel it at that point. All right, so I'm still looking for that V1 variation pattern. I'm not really looking for these high-low scalps. I mean, I was looking to see if there was going to be some sort of confluence there, maybe a breakout V3 continuation. But for the most part, I just don't really see anything here right now. Like I said, the volatility here it's starting to break out of this area. So, okay, so let's mark this up right here as green. So we got the consolidation right here. This is just a fake out. I'm just gonna go back into consolidation, it looks like. So I was gonna mark this up as like some sort of shift. You can see the market structure transitions, but there isn't really much of a transition. It's just a fake out, and then it's pulling back into the range. Really need these zones up here. So I took off those other zones. I just want to keep the main focus like within this middle area right here. No, it's good. Yeah, so I want the main focus to just be around this middle area right here, or even like even just right here. So this is where the consolidation is happening, so that you can just focus on this middle area here. Anytime price pushes out of it, it's just a fake out. So fake out right here, and a push right back up. Fake out right here, and this may push back down further. It's not a V1 variation. The CV pattern though. High right there, smaller red candle, price pulled back down. I have a boring market right now. So the volatility here, as you guys can see, it's pretty low. It's pretty low. Again, here goes a consolidation area. Nothing's really happened here. Whenever price pulls out of this area, just fakes out. So like same with what we took here, the V1 variation, price came down, fake out, came down right here, fake out, came up, fake out. It's pulling right back into the range. So the real area where price is sitting is just down here in the middle. It's really just sitting right there, right down the middle. There's no V1 variations here for me to take though. So I mean, if I saw something here, I would have taken it, but there's just nothing here. This was a sort of a CV pattern, inverted engulfing pattern. But I'm looking for those clean entries. We don't have any clean entries here. If I was to get a V1 variation down here, I probably wouldn't take it. Just a heads up, because thing is the trend here is not really confirmed. You can see the trend below. Look at the trend meter. It's blue. This means that price is currently neutral right now, so it's going sideways. Yeah, it's not exactly moving in a direction that we want it to. Here we go. You guys see my markup here? Pretty much did what I marked up here. Fake out, pull down, fake out, pull up, fake out, pull back down. It's just sitting within this range right here. So what you're really looking for is you're looking for price to break out of this range and continue dropping in that area. We're not going to get a breakout V3 continuation because the buy signal already came up right here. So this is where it would have been, things would have like kind of been a little more interesting. If there was no no sell signal here, say for example, this was a sell signal and we had a red candle right here, then I would have taken this down for a decent push. But because we didn't have that, there's no setup here for a breakout V3 or for anything really. Yeah, looking at this here so far, There's no V1 variation here. Yeah, I wouldn't consider this. It's not a clean entry. I mean, technically, I guess this could fall under a V1 variation, but I personally wouldn't take it. I mean, it's like so close that I can't even tell if it's actually touching the black line right there for a double wick rejection, basically. And if the candle closes red, it's definitely not a V1 variation. Yeah. So no V1 variation there. Again, I'm not trying to force any trades here. I'm just trying to get these clean entries that may come up. There may be another setup right here. Quite possibly, but we're now against the trend. So what I would be looking for here now is I'd be looking for price to pull below, retrace up, come back right here. So I need to have some sort of buy signal. I need price to actually come down kind of heavily, retrace back up with a buy signal, and then give me that head and shoulders back to the downside. So like push down. Like that. Whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it head and shoulders, you want to call it an M pattern. M pattern also works. Right. An M pattern is basically a half head and shoulders. It's just like one shoulder. But here goes my markup. See my markup right here? It did exactly what I did, what I showed you guys. So I said fake out, pull back down. It's just a repeat of the process of what's been happening. So see how the fake out happened right here? And it came down. Fake out happened right here. Came back up. Fake out right here. Come back down. See, the thing with this is that there's no V1 variation. These over here are actually good setups. So this is the setup that I took earlier. I took this here for a sell for a V1 variation. We had a double body rejection right there. It was a higher high, or not a higher high, it was a lower high. It was a high regardless. So we had a V1 variation pattern right there. Price came down, came back up for retracement, came back down. There's a V1 variation pattern right here, and then price did the same thing the other way. Right here wasn't an actual V1 variation, but it was more so like a CV pattern because this candle was smaller than this one. So we had a higher high right here, smaller red candle, and then it did exactly what it's been doing. So if you guys can understand this and you guys can see this on the chart, I mean, this makes a whole world of a change with your ability to really identify what's going to happen next, right? So I identify this as a CV pattern, or a sort of a CV pattern, not a clean one, but a CV pattern nonetheless. And then price did come back down. It did exactly what's been happening here for the past, basically the past hour. And there it goes, price comes back down. It did exactly. So if you go back and look at this, I drew this up before this even happened. And here he goes, it pulls back into the range. The only problem with this is that I don't like trading in ranges like this. So I can identify this and I can show you what's going to happen. If it lines up with your analysis, then, go ahead and take the trade. But for the most part, I don't really like taking trades within the area like that because I don't like having the stress of like maybe being on the wrong side, right? The trend here is bearish. So in this situation, I'm like, okay, perfect. If the trend's bearish, then I'll look for trades in the other direction. But right now, the entry came up right here where price was actually bullish with regard to the trend. So for me personally, I don't like to counter trend trade. I mean, some of you guys do, some of you guys don't. For me, it's not the thing that I'm good at. And I don't like taking risky trades. I like taking trades that I know are for sure going to hit. Also, when I'm trading like nearly 30 accounts now. So I'm a lot more careful with my positioning. Just to make sure I don't get caught in, of course, fake outs. Like this over here, I think if I got caught in this V1 variation fake out, I would have been pretty pissed off, to be honest. Like this here was a perfect entry. The only thing is I'm glad that I pulled out at 10 points with my trailing stop because although this did hit 100 points, I still would have lost a trade because my stop loss was too tight. So this candle right here hunted the stop loss and I would have lost the trade. So I would have been super upset about this trade personally. I mean, I always say that there's no need to, you shouldn't get emotional over a trade or like, you shouldn't let it mess with your psyche. But this over here is like, it's one of those candles that you don't see very often, right? You don't usually see price come down and then it spikes up for like a split second and then it comes right back down to where it's supposed to go. So I know losses are part of the game, but keeping it real with you guys, this here would have ticked me off for sure. So I'm glad that we got out for the partial at the 10. It looked like price was going to stay down though. So like even when I was taking this trade here, I was looking at my Ninja Trader and I was like, okay, this is perfect because once it got below the 10 mark, it was like consistently just sitting down there. And I was like, okay, perfect. We've gotten past the 10. Let's get to the 30. And when we get to the 30, let's get to the 60. Once we get to the 60, let's get to the 100. But yeah, obviously this thing over here came down and then all of a sudden this candle spiked up. So I'm happy with my profits for the day. I didn't make as much as I typically make. I think usually per day, if I take one trade, I'm usually going to be up a couple thousand bucks. I think today I'm still up a couple thousand bucks, but on the lower end. So here are my profits for the day. These are from the hedge accounts. It's not a lot. It's like a pretty decent amount, but it's not a crazy amount. Five. Oops. Let me subtract that. 5. Okay, so for the hedge accounts, I made about 2,065. Not a lot, but I mean, that's I was able to get in today with the slippage. Here are my prop accounts. So I locked in 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 5, 10, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So okay, so in total I locked in about like 4 or 5,000 around there. So I locked in 2,065 for the prop for the hedge accounts right here, and then I locked in 2,200, 2,645 on the prop accounts right here. You'll see more accounts on the prop side now, guys, because I had to move over my Tradeify accounts to the scalping trades. If you guys didn't hear what I said earlier, basically Tradeify requires that you take like one trade per week to keep your account active. Last week I didn't take a trade for over a week, so I got flagged. They're like, we're not going to close your account, but you have to follow the rules. So I was like, okay, fine. So I moved my accounts over to my scalping instead, which is cool. I mean, it's all good. I just got to trade. That's why I'm being a little more careful with my scalps because I just want to get those trades that I know are absolutely going to hit. I was hoping I could squeeze one more trade in here, but it's not looking like we're going to get one. It's 7:53 right now. It's about 7 minutes till 8. Just another reminder, guys, there's not going to be a mentoring session for today because we are on Christmas week. A lot of people are traveling. They're not going to be able to sit in on the session. Today's session it was supposed to be a really important one. We're going to cover the business aspect of trading. So we'll push that to next week. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else here for us to take. You can see our price is pretty much going sideways. My markup right here played perfectly through. So if anybody followed this, based off my analysis, great work if you guys took it. I didn't take any trades here because, like I said, it's just not an area where I would have looked to take anything because it's pretty flat. And I don't like trading in a sideways market. So price is currently within the 4-hour support zone right now. It's just sitting in there. I'm not expecting much to happen from here. So, I mean, you can see from these candles here that it's pretty much dead. Looks like pretty much everyone got off for Christmas break already. ATR is down to 22. Went down from 30 to 25 to 22. Now it's like below 22. And it's probably just going to get slower from here. So I think this is a good time to wrap it up, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. You guys can hit me up on Discord. If you guys have some profits to post up, feel free to send them in. I know Jonathan posted his profits the other day. I forgot to call him out. But Jonathan locked in 2,500 for the breakout the other day. Nice work, Jonathan. Yeah, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a Merry Christmas, guys. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. It's a half-day trading. Not going to be trading tomorrow. There's just no need to force any trades on Christmas Eve. Volatility is probably going to be very, very low. Christmas is traditionally the slowest week of the year. So I wouldn't really recommend taking anything tomorrow. If you guys want to trade, I mean, feel free to try to squeeze a trade in, but for the most part, I would just sit out, come back on Thursday once Christmas festivities are over, and we'll kick off the rest of the week before we wrap it up next week for the new year. So we have about like 4 more trading days left, guys. We got next Thursday, next Friday, Monday, and Tuesday's New Year's Eve. It'll be a half day, but people will be trading, so we'll see. But yeah, all right, guys. I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, Merry Christmas to you guys, and thanks for being here for Christmas week. I'll be back on Thursday to continue trading, and yeah, we'll keep it pushing. So, all right, guys, have a great time, and I'll